If I was to rewrite Ninjago, I think I would turn it into some kind of a thriller where I'd have everything connected into one big grand storyline. I do this as a kind of therapy for myself, just writing stories. I do like writing stories. I would have, start with Lord Garmadon starting out as a warlord. It's like you could picture ancient China where you have the warlord eras. Let me zoom into my boy Lord Garmadon real quick. There we go. This is Garmadon. Hold on. I'd have him be a warlord, and we'll have a little Lloyd Garmadon. He looks up to him, and he wants to become a great warrior too. And Garmadon's philosophy is that might makes right, and that he wants to conquer and rule places to establish the borders of his country. And they won't be enemies, Wu and Garmadon. Garmadon just has like demon powers, and Wu is more of a pacifist, but he understands the wisdom of war. But he's more of a balanced kind of a shamanistic figure. Not really shamanistic figure, but like he's wise, he's demure, he's like he's the wise guy, right? He's a stoic wise guy. And Lloyd, he's always eager to fight. He's kind of he's just very eager to be like violent and stuff. And he's the hothead of the story actually. As for Kai, I'm gonna have Kai already be a mentor, because I think doing the whole Kai being angry, learning to let go of anger and losing his fire powers from, you know, because it's anger was his fuel. I think that's like I think it's been done before. We could explain it, and I mean if it's like a big prolonged series and like that could be explained through the storyline itself, through exposition and stuff, and or not just exposition, we could just show it too. I'll have I'll have these three meet up as children. They're going to be established. We're going to keep Zane out for now, because I thought of an idea where I guess Nia will have the elemental power of water, obviously. And water is a important element because it is the element of the heart, of healing, of love and nurture and compassion. And that's how water feels like to me. So maybe we could finally have her be kidnapped years later down the road, right? And we're going to have it so I guess we could have ethnic tensions between the humans and the Serpentine. Maybe Ninjago was once a united confederation, but the king was assassinated and they're both blaming each other, the humans and Serpentine. But it turns out it was the Onis from some land called Onigashima who killed the king. And they basically want China to be I say China, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Let's presume I'm not caught up in Chinese history too much anymore, but let us presume Japan is what causes China to go through a civil war, and they want China to be weak so they can invade China, right? And so eventually the Serpentine and the humans have to unite, and that's where I guess Garmadon has to meet Lloyd. And Lloyd's already an adult. He looks up to his father, but he also resents his father for just kind of abandoning him, keep leaving him with Wu. And Garmadon's just kind of like a war general, kind of like a tyrant, but not really. He just believes in like power and strength to conquer and defeat your enemies. And Lloyd has that kind of mindset too. And Wu's kind of warning him like the mindset kind of kills you, and Kai's also warning him that the mindset kind of kills you. And Cole is supposed to be the foundation. He's like the chill guy. He's cool. He's still like a mountain. And I guess Jay is just he's the happy guy. He's pretty positive. He's outgoing. He's pretty cool. We all like Zane. Jay. Now for Zane, I think I'm gonna have Nia get kidnapped by like some Serpentine generals or something, and then I would have I guess I would have her meet with Zane, who is a robot built for war and destruction, but I'll have him have a kind of backstory similar to Bastion, where it's like he was built for war and destruction, but he just has too much empathy and compassion and just like love and an interest in nature and birds and stuff. And they meet up together at this facility where Nia's kidnapped and she's being held, and Zane's also, I guess, being held. And they both provide a dynamic where ice, since his elemental power is ice, it is solid. Solid provides a structure, liquid provides flow, right? So it's like a balance of love and wisdom. And I think it would provide an interesting dynamic since their elements are both related. Since ice is just solid water and water is just water. And so, yeah, and just having Kai already an adult or already mature and already past his like violent era, that could provide a more grounded approach. But this is just if I was writing the whole show. Eventually, I will have Garmadon and Lloyd kind of go together, and they'll have to forgive one another. Where well, it's mostly Garmadon's fault for abandoning Lloyd, right? So Lloyd will forgive Garmadon for just leaving him and neglecting him, and Garmadon will realize, not the full error of his ways or anything, but he will realize that, like, there are better things to fight for, like family and stuff, and it's gonna be nuanced and stuff. It's always gonna be everything's good when it has nuance. It's logical and explainable, and so that's where I'm gonna have all the Shinobi unite. Nia will unlock her water powers, and then because water would represent healing and nurture, and I know it's like a cliche, like, oh, the girl is the damsel in distress and she learns how to heal, but it depends on what planet or what kind of soul frequencies everyone has. For the feminine energy, that usually it's caretaker, nurturing, or well, there are different kinds of feminine energies. There's positive and negative, just like everything. So there's positive masculine, positive masculine, negative masculine, and just positive and negative for men and women energies. And some planets have bias for, I guess, male-led societies or female-led societies, or more equal societies. When I say, and there are positive and negative factions to all that kind of stuff too, right? Every manifestation has its own different manifestation, I guess. Um, it really depends on what planet, because I will have reincarnation and like all that stuff and souls, and because if you have elemental powers, we're gonna add souls and reincarnation and polarities and stuff. And I know how power structures work and how hierarchies function, and the ideology of those who wish to serve themselves or serve others and stuff like that. I'm basically like, I have like just stayed in my room and just looked up all the shamanistic metaphysical shit until like my brain blew out. Not really, but like I already had an intuition for this. Let's just say I found a very cool book, and I just grabbed what I liked from it, and I let go of the rest. And this world is chaotic, so I guess we would be like the kind of person who's like, when the world is chaotic, you must find balance within yourself. You must create a sovereign state. And then Garmadon's like, when the world is chaotic, you gotta go and conquer it and grab it by the horns and pull it. So it's not that one or the other is better or than the other. It's just that they're both parts of the same. And Lloyd will have to bridge the gap between love and wisdom, which is like, Wu will represent love, and then Garmadon will represent wisdom. Nia will represent kind of a healing and nurture, or just a positive, just a positive female energy character. Zane will provide structure, which is just like, he provides the positive masculine energy, which is just like a provider, a carer, like someone who's like a male who has a lot of compassion and care and emotional intelligence. And I think that's how Zane always was supposed to be. I think what we ruined Zane with was with we turned his personality into beep boop, I'm a robot, instead of, I'm a guy of high honor. I have love and respect and compassion for all my friends, and I might be a little more vulnerable, but I still have strength within myself despite that, and despite my differences, I still believe in myself, and I love myself, and I give myself compassion and care. And that's a really good message to teach people. And Nia is, I want to be I'm not even sure what Nia's role is. She kind of exists. She wants to be her own person. She doesn't want to be, I guess, complacent or just passive on things. She wants to actively do things for the world. She wants to change the world. So she'll have water abilities. First, she's kind of like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? But she learns that, like, okay, and I'll have them together, I guess. I'm not gonna like put them in a relationship or anything, but like they're gonna be close. And then if I'm gonna add these two in a relationship, it's gonna come naturally. It's more likely they would be in the relationship. That's just by the logic of the story and the bonding of the characters. And he's just gonna be a pretty cool character on his own. I think Jay, he'd just be like the light, the just the positive energy you need, where it's like, you need positivity in life. And he is the reformed prince of chaos. Kai will be just a guy who's already matured. He's basically like Prince Zuko, where it's like he already went through the era of wanting to kill his enemies. He killed some enemies. He killed people before as a kid, and then eventually, like, he has to learn to cool down. So cold provides the dynamic of cooling down and like, hey, find balance yourself. I believe in you, Kai. I love you. And they form like a brotherhood. All three of them. and they're like really close. They're basically brothers at that point. And then they will meet, and then they'll return here, and this is where Zane will meet the rest of these for the first time. Eventually, I think I'm gonna have Master Wu just die of old age or something, and then Lloyd will tell Garmadon, "Hey, your brother's dying, or he's dead," or and also Wu might provide something to the to Garmadon, to Lloyd for Garmadon. And all this is just a dynamic where these characters kind of work together, and they have to work together because there is a more greater evil, and they have to take out the greater enemy. And there's just all these kinds of things going around, and they have to unite the Serpentine and the humans to fight against the Oni, and eventually they are defeated, and a new republic is formed. And so China is united again. China, it's like, I know, like, they're ninjas from Japan, and China it's to me personally, it's all East Asia, and I know, like, it's a big place with all these dynamic cultures and stuff, but if I grabbed like a random person from Korea, Japan, and China, and I just showed it to some European guy, some Westerner, they're gonna be like, okay, that's East Asian. I used to just say Asian. People were like, oh, Asia is also India and the Middle East. But, like, like, when I say Asia, I just talk about East Asia, or, like, the Chinese temples, the anime girls, the fucking the K-pop, and that's what I say when I say Asia. It's but, like, I get it. Okay. Um, and I like Asia for its, like, magical, just its vibes. Its vibes. I just fucking love Asia for that. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I would have it like that, and that's every storyline starts with the status quo. The status quo is Ninjago is divided. China is divided, right? The catalyst is maybe something goes on along the line, and characters need to go do something, right? I'll also have Lloyd, like, he's a kid and he remembers when Garmadon leaves him for the first time. There's a bunch of catalysts, right? You can just have catalyst after catalyst after catalyst, but eventually every catalyst has to go through a call to action. Call to action goes into a journey and the adventure itself. So, someone kidnaps your sister and you have to go train to become a ninja, and you have to go find your sister, and it's like, it's a simple. That's all stories have start with a status quo. The status quo is basically just what is the ongoings of the story right now, like, and then the catalyst is what's the new of that story, what pushes that story to a new call to action, like, what drives it now, the journey and the adventure. Now you have a problem, you have to figure out how you're going to solve it with your challenges, if you can solve it, and then there will be a sacrifice, or maybe you have to sacrifice your ego, your former sense of self-esteem, your selfishness, your you got to do something to transform. How are you going to become a better person? Or maybe it's not just you have to sacrifice a lot of time and energy and effort, or you have to sacrifice an old understanding of the world. People have to sacrifice their old beliefs and old structures. And then there's rebirth, where the characters have to be reborn, essentially, and they are reborn into, and they have to fight the enemy or overcome an obstacle, right? And then from there on is a new horizon. So let's just say Lloyd becomes Prince of Ninjago and unites the nations, and he unites Confederation, and China's won again, something, and then that's it. The storyline is over. Like, there's nothing else you need to do anymore. And so people wonder, okay, but what if I want to see my characters again? You just reincarnate them, or you have, because all these characters are just repeating archetypes. Kai is the archetype of the fiery kid who wants to go do everything his own way, and he's got to slow down a little bit, right? And then basically, like, I show speed or something, like the archetype of the character who has a fire in him. He wants to go do stuff, like the monkey kid, or not the monkey king. I mean, Journey to the West, right? So Wukong, and it's but we can move that to Lloyd, where I think it would give Lloyd a better dynamic, and then Kai as the mentor, so as Prince Zuko already, where he's already mature, he's already grew out of the whole mindset of, like, having to defeat your enemy, or, well, he doesn't care about needing to defeat his enemy. He can forgive his enemy now, or man, these cameras don't want to. This camera does not want to focus. Focus. So Kai could be a mentor to little Lloyd, young Lloyd, older Lloyd, who's gonna grow up in the same era. And Cole just provides the stability, the balance, the grounding. He's basically the Earth chakra. Kai would be the solar plexus chakra. the reformed solar plexus chakra, and he will be the brand new solar plexus chakra. Uh, and there are different things anyone can do in life, and I guess wind will represent the another chakra, one of the lower threes. Air, we don't have an air ninja though. I guess it would have been Zane, but like it's whatever. I guess Zane could also provide solidity. They might have a dynamic too, because if we're gonna have elemental powers, we can. How many people are limited to those elemental powers? Why do people have elemental powers? I think that's another thing we can explore. Where do elemental powers come from specifically? Where do they emerge? Can anyone attain them? Can only a certain genetic bloodline attain them? Because if that's the case, like you can see how some people might see themselves as superior to everyone else if it's just a certain group of bloodline, and everyone else might be like see themselves as NPCs at that point. Which I don't think it'd be fair to all the citizens, of the people, because we call people NPCs, but that NPC over there, he cleans your pipes. That guy, he builds the things you need. That like yeah, some people might be act like NPCs, but it depends on the consciousness. Everything has to do with consciousness. And not like if you're an NPC, you're always an NPC. You could always develop higher consciousness. And Garmadon, he has a justification for why he believes the things he does. Maybe he's seen war and conquest, and he wants to become strong, so no one can conquest and control him. And Wu, he knows war and conquest, but he wants to find peace and balance within himself. And he agrees with a lot of portions of his brother. He doesn't like fully disagree with him. Like he does know that, like, okay, you gotta fight some enemies sometimes. Like sometimes you have opponents, but you don't have true enemies like that. Kind of like they complement. They're not opposites. They're not in competition. They're both of the one of the infinite. And there will be like a religion, not a religion, but like a spiritual belief that there is a thing called the one, and it's like an infinite all source, and it provides, and it's the creator and creation itself. And Zane, no, Jay, I think I don't know. He's just gonna be the provider, the character that uplifts people. And Zane is just honor. He's just honor. He's just honorable. He's just a very honorable person. And Nia wants to become her own person, and she doesn't want to be passive and do nothing in life. And she wants to make a name for herself. She loves herself, and she has to learn how to love herself. And Wu is just a teacher. He will die eventually. Garmadon, you were explain that. So I think that's pretty much it. If I rewrote Ninjago, it would be like a political thriller-ish kind of thing. And I don't know if it would be like a recently industrializing nation, because I don't know if I want to make it take place in like a feudal China kind of era, or like a recently industrializing era. It could be that, because think of it, like I know, like the Lego group, like it, and this would be my own version of Ninjago, right? I grew up with this. I like meditating on the concepts and thoughts I have in my head. Lego decides they like to make it so there's like all the kinds of mechanics and gigantic vehicles and like ninja race cars, but I think that's kind of dumb, because like how many ninja race cars does Lloyd need, really? How many like if you actually have to do missions in real life, they gotta fit in a context, right? Like if I have I guess if I have to go catch criminals, I would have a police car. If I had to go fight an army, I might have a military vehicle, right? But Lego doesn't do military, right? So I know this is a kid's show, and you could change the physics of the world to allow for more cartoony things, because I know solid matter in real life, solid matter is just made of solid matter is just physical light, and the more, I guess, dense your light is, or everything's made of light. This right here, this is made of light. Everything that exists is made of light, right? And you can, like, I bent a spoon before with metal, and for some I'm not gonna explain the whole real life part too much, but if you can manipulate that, you can manipulate a lot of things. But I think it's think of every person, every soul is like a node in a big machine. Everything's connected. If you take like 12 grams of like mushrooms or some shit, you'll see it. Don't do 12 grams. That's way too fucking much. You take 4 grams of magic mushrooms, you'll fucking see what I'm trying to say. Everything's connected. Everything's consciousness. Everything's connected. And this planet is specifically extra weird. I'm not gonna lie. This planet is not like every other planet. There are other cooler planets with better histories. There's still war in other planets, but like I'm not saying there's not war, but it's Life is a big, complex, dynamic structure, and I think we should be grateful that we are sentient and we can choose what we want to do in life. Thank you. Goodbye.